What's up, guys? Welcome back to another fight prediction video. This is going to be for Bellator 257, Nemcov versus Davis 2. So the first fight of the night is going to be Pedro Carvalho against J.J. Wilson. This is a really interesting fight, a really pretty good fight to have. It's the first fight of the night too. Carvalho's coming in at 11-4, J.J. Wilson coming in at 7-0. Carvalho obviously coming off that first round knockout loss to Patricio Pitbull. That's really not an embarrassing loss whatsoever. And yeah, man, Carvalho is only 25. I think a lot of people forget about that when they're looking at this matchup. They're thinking of J.J. Wilson as like this up-and-coming kid, and then you got like the gatekeeper veteran Pedro Carvalho. But really, he's only 25. He's just 2 years older than J.J. Wilson, and he's been training for this fight a lot longer. Obviously, he was supposed to fight Daniel Weichel. That fell through. Now he's fighting J.J. Wilson, who's stepping in on short notice. And I just think Pedro Carvalho is going to be a little bit too much for J.J. Wilson in this one. I don't think J.J. Wilson has fought anyone that's on the level of Pedro Carvalho. I think this pressure that is going to be applied to him is going to be new to him. Carvalho is an aggressive guy. He has those leg kicks, which I guess Wilson could foray into a takedown. And obviously, you don't want to be on the ground with J.J. Wilson. But I just think that Carvalho is going to be a little bit too much for him here, and that's going to be my pick. Do I think that J.J. Wilson could possibly get a submission here? Definitely. If it goes to the ground, it's definitely live. The odds are close on this one for a reason. But I am going to go with Pedro Carvalho. He's out of full camp. He's prepared. And I just think he's a little bit better. And definitely in the stand-up, I think he's going to have a marked advantage. So then we're moving on to Saul Rogers and Mads Burnell, both coming in with an identical record of 14-3. Saul Rogers obviously was on The Ultimate Fighter. He had a couple fights on ACB. And he's had a few Bellator fights under his belt. I think he has 3. Then Mads Burnell, obviously he had a stint in the UFC. He was in Cage Warriors for a while, and now he's here in Bellator with 1 Bellator fight under his belt, and he's on a 5 fight win streak right now. I like both of these guys. I think they're both good. Rogers, good striking, pretty decent wrestler too. But at the end of the day, I think that Mads Burnell is going to be a little bit too much for him here. I think that the pressure Mads Burnell is going to give him is going to be different from what he has faced in a lot of his previous fights. I just think Mads Burnell is going to be one of the first guys who can really give him a run for his money in the last couple fights. Besides, obviously, Daniel Weichel, who he lost to. And I guess he lost on ACB too, but I mean, just recently, the fights that he wins, we haven't really seen him have to go up against anybody super good. And like the ones that he lost weren't against anybody unreal. Like Daniel Weichel's good. He's not like on that top tier, I don't think, at this point, or in 2019 when they fought. So I'm going to be going with Mads Burnell in this one. I just think he has the tools to handle anything that Saul Rogers is going to throw at him, and I think that Saul Rogers might be in tough here against Mads Burnell in a couple scenarios. So I'm going to be going with Mads Burnell in this one. We'll take the UFC veteran. And I'm now going to move on to Victor Nemkov and Carl Albertson. So Nemkov is the brother of Vadim Nemkov, who obviously we're seeing in the main event here. He's had a bit of a layoff. He hasn't fought since 2019, where he fought to a draw on PFL. And before that, he had 2 straight wins on PFL. And he's a real good wrestler, really strong guy, really big, huge reach. Then we have Carl Albertson, who he's 27, so quite a bit younger, and 6'2" with a 75.5-inch reach. So he's really big too, really big and long as well. His most recent loss was to Phil Davis, and he lost in 2017 to Yuri Prochazka. And then he had 1 loss on Risen before that. And he actually he beat Vadim Nemkov on Risen back in the day, man. So the thing is here, man, I definitely think Carl Albertson could get it done. And, I almost want to say he will get it done. But then at the same time, Nemkov is really good. He's really long, and he can use those takedowns and that wrestling to really give you a hard time. And I feel like Albertson really does have some really good stuff on the feet, and really definitely could put a challenge to Nemkov. But I just think I'm going to take Nemkov to get it down, kind of have some control time, and just wear on him. But this is definitely not a fight where I'm super confident, and I feel like the line could even be even closer on this one, to be honest with you. So I'm going a slight lean on Nemkov, but this one I think is really up in the air. If you really want to bet it, I'll probably go Nemkov, but I'm going to stay away from that one. So then we have Lance Gibson Jr. coming up against Marcus Surin. And Lance Gibson Jr. is looking like a really promising prospect. You know, MMA is in the blood of the Gibson family, training out of Gibson MMA, where Julia Budd, who's also on this card, is also training. Pretty good-looking Canadian prospect here. I like what I see out of Lance Gibson. And then we have Marcus Surin, who, I don't know, I don't really think he has what it takes to beat him here. He's got a really nice reach, 6 foot, but you know, Gibson is right there with him with only 1 inch less in the reach, but he is 5'10", so a small height discrepancy there, but I don't think it's really going to matter. I think that Lance Gibson is just better, and I can honestly see him getting a submission here against Marcus Surin. So, yeah, moving on to the next one, we got Raymond Daniels versus Peter Stenonek, and we saw this fight before, but it ended in a draw due to an accidental low blow. And I just think that Raymond Daniels is too much for him. I think that Stenonek doesn't have really anything for Raymond Daniels in this one. You know, Daniels is 40 years old, but I just, you know, still, I just think he's better. I don't really see that much of a path to victory for Stenonek here, and I'm going to be going with Daniels. Pretty confident in that, given what we've seen already. And then we have Bozinyan coming up against Demarcus Jackson. And this is an interesting one, man. So Bozinyan, he's only 25 years old. He's coming off 2 straight losses. One of them was to Austin Vanderford, and then he lost to a guy on ACB. And then we have Demarcus Jackson, who's 11-4, who had 2 losses on LFA before getting a first-round rear naked choke victory on LFA as well. And he's going to be significantly smaller than Bozinyan in this one. Bozinyan, sorry. And, you know, Bozinyan is 6 feet, whereas Demarcus Jackson's 5'8". And it's just like, I just see Bozinyan being able to use his physicality in this one and get the fight down. I definitely think Jackson can get it done. You know, he's favored for a reason, but I just don't like the line. I think that Bozinyan definitely could get it done here, and my pick's going to be on Bozinyan here. You know, Demarcus Jackson is good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's good enough to really make me confident that he's going to get it done here, especially with the big size disadvantage. I don't know. The way the line is, it's just looking kind of like a trap to me. So I'm not going to bet this fight for sure because I just can't get that great of a read on it. But my pick's going to be Bozinyan on this one. I'm going with the Armenian. So moving right along to the next one, we have Steve Mowry and Sean Asher. And Steve Mowry is like a minus 1,000 something favorite. Could be even more at this point. 28 years old, 6'8", 79-inch reach. He's absolutely huge, training out of Hard Knocks 365. Coming up against Sean Asher, who is, 41 years old, 6 foot with a 73-inch reach. I think he's going to be pretty overmatched here. He does not really have that many high-level fights on his resume. He has fought Misha Serkinov, who he lost to, but it's just like, I don't know, I kind of think this is just set up for Steve Mowry to roll him. I think Steve Mowry is going to get him out of there in the first round. I'm going with Mowry by first round TKO, and we will see if the minus 1,000 is justified or not. Then moving on to Julius Anglickas against Gregory Millard. So Anglickas, I really like what I see out of him. His last fight, he was up against Alex Polizzi, and I actually thought Polizzi might win that one, but you know, it was always going to be close, and Anglickas came out there and really showed me something in that one. I really liked what I saw out of him, and he beat Jordan Young before this too. That's another good win. He had a win in Contender Series, a win on LFA, and 2 wins on LFA actually, and he's just really done well wherever he went. Really great amateur results too. Anglickas just, you know, he's the real deal for sure. I really like what I see out of him. Then looking at Gregory Millard, you know, he looks huge, definitely a built guy, but then Anglickas is a built guy too, no doubt about it. I just don't think he has the resume, I don't think he has the skills, and I think that this one's kind of set up for Anglickas to get some more name value, build his brand, and really show what he can do. I don't like Gregory Millard's chances in this one very much. I think that that he's going to get taken down and really, really given a hard time by Anglickas in this one, because I do really like Anglickas. He's a huge favorite, and we'll see if it's justified or not. I definitely think he deserves to be the favorite, and I feel very confident that he will win this fight. So I'm going with Julius in this one. Now we have Julia Budd and Diana Silva. So Julia Budd is training at a Gibson MMA, where Lance Gibson Jr.'s family runs their MMA gym. She's coming off a win against Jessie Miel, and before that she lost to Chris Cyborg. And before that she really had not lost in some time. Her only other 2 losses are to Ronda Rousey in Strikeforce and Amanda Nunes in Strikeforce. So, like, those are really... And Chris Cyborg is the other one. So that's basically like almost like a who's who of women's MMA right there. Especially, the featherweight division, Cyborg and Amanda Nunes. Those are probably the 2 best women's featherweights that we have seen. So I'm going to go with Julia Budd here. She's a huge favorite. I really don't see a path to victory for Diana Silva here. Most of the time when Julia Budd's fighting, you got a better. And I think this is another one of those situations. I just really don't see Diana Silva having almost anything for her in this one. I think it's going to be pretty easy win for Julia Budd, and that's going to be my prediction. I think Julia Budd gets it done by a pretty dominant unanimous decision in this fight. So that's where my money's going to be on that one. I have run a couple parlays. And then moving on to Paul Daley and Sabah Hamasi. This is an interesting fight too. This is a Bellator card where you got to kind of like where it's not all just you kind of already know. There's a lot of really competitive fights on this one. So Paul Daley, 38 years old. We're definitely starting to see him slow down a little bit, but he's coming up against Sabah Hamasi, who I think is going to want to kind of play into the game of Paul Daley. I see them exchanging heavy leather in this one, and I think that Paul Daley is going to get the better of him. I'm not underestimating Sabah Hamasi. He's definitely good, and he definitely could win. Like, I'm not going to touch this fight with the 10-foot pole because I just don't know what's going to happen in it. And Sabah Hamasi definitely could win, but it's just, I don't see him beating Paul Daley in this one. I think that they're going to be socking each other in the face hard, and I think that eventually Paul Daley is going to hit him to the point where he cannot continue, and I'm going with Paul Daley in this fight. So that's going to be my pick there. And moving on to the next one, we have Vida Arteaga against Desiree Yanez. And I went back and forth on this fight a fair bit. Vida Arteaga is 5-4, which on paper doesn't look great, but when you look at who she's fighting top women in Bellator. She lost to Alejandra Lara, who we just saw fight Kana Watanabe. I thought Lara might edge it out, and that was a really close fight. You even could have said that she did get it, but obviously Watanabe got the victory in that one. And before that, she lost to Ilima-Lei Macfarlane, which you can't really have any complaints about that. Ilima-Lei is an excellent fighter and was the champion at the time. So then we're looking at Desiree Yanez, where she had a bunch of fights on Combat, and her last fight was a split decision loss. She put on a pretty good display in that one, though. You honestly maybe could have had that one for her. And yeah, I went back and forth. I was thinking, Arteaga's fought better girls. She might just get the better of her here, but I am going to slightly lean to Desiree Yanez, just with being able to get some control time, get in the clinch, maybe get it down. And I think Desiree Yanez is going to be my pick in this one, but this is not really confident. It's a pick 'em for a reason. And I'm also probably not going to touch this one. I don't really, I don't know, I just don't really see it as a great betting opportunity, to be completely honest with you. And then moving on to the co-main event of the evening, we have Corey Anderson and Davlesan Yagshimuradov. So this is another one I went back and forth on, man, because Corey Anderson has that resume where it's like, he should be good, and he looked good in his last fight, but I hope you look good against Melvin Manhoef, at this point in his career. His loss to Jan Blachowicz, you can't really complain about that, except for the fact that people complain about his chin a lot, and that was a first-round knockout. But, good wins, good underdog win against Johnny Walker. Before that, he beat Glover Teixeira, who we're going to be seeing fight Jan Blachowicz for the title pretty soon in the light heavyweight division of the UFC. And then Davlesan Yagshimuradov, I don't know, man. The thing is, like, I really like the guys that come off ACA, those Russian promotions. I really like what they have going on over there. I feel like they pump out a lot of good fighters. And looking at Davlesan Yagshimuradov, that power he has, man, I don't know. I feel like he could touch the chin of Corey Anderson and put him to sleep in this one. I feel like he's going to have a speed advantage. I feel like he's going to look light on his feet. Maybe we might see some gas tank issues late, but I don't know. A lot of people seem to be on Corey Anderson just because, he was on the UFC, this and that. But I don't know, man. I like the ACA guys, and this is another one where I'm probably not going to bet it. I don't really it's a really tough one to call. You know, Yagshimuradov's definitely the dark horse here, and I think I'm actually going to pick him. Call me crazy. I'm going to go with Davison to knock out Corey Anderson in this fight. I don't know. I just don't trust the chin. It basically comes down to I don't trust Corey Anderson. I don't know a whole lot about Yagshimuradov, but you know he looks pretty light on his feet. He's a little bit smaller, but you know he's got good power, good striking, and I just don't trust Corey Anderson, so that's why I'm going with Yagshimuradov in this one, more so than I believe he actually could win. It's more I just kind of don't trust Corey Anderson. And then the main event, we have Vadim Nemkov coming up against Phil Davis for the second time, where they fought to a split decision last time. And you know, towards the end of that fight, Davis was kind of putting Nemkov in a compromising position. But I think, you know, Nemkov, 28 years old, whereas Phil Davis is 36. Nemkov has just continued to look better and better. He's just improved fight after fight. And Phil Davis, I'm not really seeing that from him. Split decision with Leona Makita in his last fight. And, you know, I just feel like Nemkov is going to have an answer for him in this one. I feel like Nemkov is better than he was the last time they fought. I feel like he's improving every time we see him out there, and I feel like he has all the tools to do it against Phil Davis. So he's the champ. He's a moderate favorite, which honestly I agree with. I think he should be lined that way. I think it's a fair line, and I'm going to go with Vadim Nemkov in this one. I just think that I think he's got an answer for Phil Davis. I really like the way Nemkov has looked. I think that he's one of the better light heavyweights that we're seeing in MMA as a whole these days, and that's where my pick's going to be on that one. So a little shorter video for you guys. Still exam season for me, so obviously once that's all over with, I'll have these videos up, hopefully not on fight day itself, and they'll be a little longer, a little more in-depth, but yeah, those are my picks for Bellator tonight. Best of luck, guys. Hopefully you make some money. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, @LuckyLocksPicks, and I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Take care.